The House will come to order. The pledge this morning will be said by Paulino Rubio, Waylon Brewer, Savannah Hepler, and Maura Plavnik from Sandoval Elementary School in Denver, Colorado, guests of Representative Gonzalez Gutierrez.
Please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Randall, please call the roll. Great. Come this way.
Representatives Arndt, Baisley, Beckman, Benavides, Byrd, Bockenfeld, Buck, Buckner, Buenteo, Caravale, Carver, Catlin, Coleman, Cutter, Duran, Escar, Exum, Froelich, Galindo, Garnett, Geithner, Gonzalez Gutierrez, Gray, Hanson, Herod,
Excused.
Hooten, Humphrey, Jackson, Marquez Lewis, Marquez Lewis,
Excused.
Kennedy, Kip. Oh, thank you. Kraftharp, Landgraf, Larson, Lewis, Liston, Montine, McCluskey, McKean, McLaughlin, Belton, Michelson Janae, Mullica, Neville, Pelton, Ransom, Rich, Roberts, Sane, Sandridge, Singer,
Excused.
Facing the window.
Sirota, Snyder, Snyder, Soper, Sullivan, Tipper. Representative Harrod is present. Tipper, Titone, Valdez A, Valdez D, Van Winkle. Van Winkle.
Excused.
Weissman. Williams. Wilson. Madam Speaker.
With 60 present for excused and 1 vacant, we have a quorum. Representative Cutter.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move that the reading of the Journal of Tuesday, February 5, 2019 be dispensed with and approved as corrected by the Chief Clerk.
You have heard the motion. Is there any? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no. The ayes have it. Representative Landgraf.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, Veterans Caucus, February 11th, that's this Monday. If you want lunch, you have to RSVP to Jerry Wheeler. It's all on this form that's on your desk. And it's going to be 11:30 to 1300 hours in room 112, and we're going to be discussing veterans courts.
Representative Gonzalez Gutierrez.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, I just would like to announce a school that's here today, 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders from a school in my district, House District 4, which is in North Denver. It's Academia Anna Marie Sandoval, and it is their student council group. So they're here to learn about our government. So please welcome them.
Representative Gray.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. House Transportation and Local Government Committee, we will be meeting at 1:30 today to hear House Bill 1084 and House Bill 1048. I will see you then.
Representative Esgar.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, I have some special guests on the floor today as well. I would like to welcome the Pueblo Association of Realtor Leadership over here on the side. If you'd like to come say hello to them, I thank them for being here today.
Representative Catlin.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Good day to you. Members, I'd like to remind you that today is Rural Caucus. Come by and find out about rural Colorado, and let's talk about where rural and urban can meet one another. We keep talking about the divide. Maybe the problem is we keep calling it a divide. It might just be that we haven't taken the time to talk to one another. If you get an opportunity, I'd really appreciate it if you would come by, and we'll have some good conversation and figure out how we're going to do this as time goes forward. This is a great opportunity for all of us. Repeat the time and place, my teacher told me. It'll be today, 11:30, downstairs, can't remember for sure which room, but it's in one of the hearing rooms. Please come. We'll introduce you to some of the people that help rural Colorado. We'll talk about what's going on out there, and you're going to find that we have an awful lot in common. It's just that I live in the country and you live in town. Thank you.
Representative McLaughlin.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Tomorrow, big day tomorrow. If you have children going to college, if you have constituents going to college, if you think that college is anywhere in the future of anyone you know, Western State from Gunnison is going to be here for breakfast, and you can ask them questions. You can meet the president of the college, and it's a really, really beautiful school in Gunnison, and your students, my students, all students love it. So please, downstairs tomorrow morning for breakfast. Thank you.
Representative McKean.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. So, folks, I have my beautiful little box, and this will be the last day you will see it. But all is not lost. If you have not placed a Valentine in this box, it does not mean that little old ladies will not stamp your Valentines, because they will. I will just not take it to them. Because I don't want to be responsible for somebody not getting a Valentine. That would be horrible. You would hold it against me. You'd vote against all my bills, and I don't think that's fair to me. So I will take these Valentines today, and if by 11:30 you bring me Valentines for this box, they will go today.
Okay.
If not, then you can send them to Loveland. They'll still stamp them. Thank you.
Okay, good to know. Thank you. Representative Lontine.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members of the Health and Insurance Committee, we do have a hearing this afternoon. We are meeting in the Old State Library. I can't help but say room 271. And we are hearing House Bills 1039, 1127, and 1076. We'll see you there.
Representative McCluskey.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. It is an honor to serve with you.
Representative, it is an honor to serve with you.
Thank you. I would like to invite everyone to the Early Childhood Leadership Commission's reception tonight, presentation of their annual report. The ECLC is a tremendous champion of early childhood education, health, and welfare for our kids in this state. It is 5 o'clock this evening at the Colorado Health Foundation, Pennsylvania Street. Come join us.
Representative Herod.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, we have a very fun lunch caucus today. Members who care about the arts, we will be hearing about the arts and business at our art caucus today at noon in Committee Room 107, and lunch will be provided. So hope to see you there.
Representative Jackson. Oh, Representative Weissman.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The members of the Aurora delegation have a tribute. I would like to invite all of the members to come down to the well here, and I ask that Mr. Randall read the tribute.
Members, please be quiet in the chamber. We have a tribute.
The House of Representatives convened in the 72nd General Assembly hereby extends sincere commendations to Barbara Shannon Bannister. Barbara Shannon Bannister recently retired from her 36-year career with the City of Aurora, during which she served in a number of roles, most recently as the head of the Community Relations Division. As manager of the division, she has launched numerous groups, forums, and commissions with the larger goal of promoting and inviting cross-cultural dialogue and understanding. She established the International Cross-Cultural Network of Aurora, which places translators across city platforms, the Aurora Community of Faith, and the Aurora Key Community Response Team, and she recently helped secure funding for the Aurora Race Forum. She was instrumental in founding both the Wyoming chapter and the Aurora branch of the NAACP, served on the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Colorado Holiday Commission in the 1980s, and she continues to advocate for civil rights in numerous ways today. The members of the Colorado House of Representatives are proud to recognize Barbara Shannon Bannister on the occasion of her retirement and thank her for her years of dedicated service to the citizens of Aurora and the state of Colorado as a whole. On request of Representatives Rod Bockenfeld, Janet Buckner, Dominique Jackson, Jovan Melton, Daphna Michelson-Janae, and Mike Weissman, given this 6th day of February 2019, State Capitol in Denver.
Representative Jackson.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, you may be seated. So I first met Barbara Shannon Bannister, or BSB, as we very lovingly call her, many years ago at a Mexican food restaurant in Aurora. We met to chat about community concerns. I was so enthralled with her deep knowledge of everything Aurora, and I knew then that I would always have a friend who would help to guide me. We've heard a little bit about the things that Barbara Shannon Bannister has done. Just so you know, I got a copy of your resume yesterday. It's like 12 pages long. So just a couple of other shining examples of her public service. Barbara Shannon Bannister has worked to found charities such as the Metro Community Provider Network, which provides excellent medical care at no cost to families who have limited or no access to health care. She also founded Grand Design, whose goal is to preserve the arts created in communities of color. The company provides entertainment and raises public awareness. And every year she organizes several community-wide events to help bring all people together, no matter their age, no matter their ethnicity, no matter their background, and no matter their political affiliation. Barbara Shannon Bannister, BSB. I am so very humbled to know you. Thank you. May I say thank you? Oh, hey. Thank you for your years of dedication and service to the citizens of Aurora and to the people across our state. Love you.
Representative Weissman.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And members, when we do a tribute, it's really only possible to capture a small part of the arc of the circle of life, as my colleague just alluded to. If you were to write out everything that Dr. BSB has done, it would be a very long list, and we should all be so lucky to have been so fundamental to our community, in our time. Originally, we were going to try to offer this tribute the day after we came back from the Dr. Martin Luther King holiday, and that was the morning we all had a little bit of a hard time coming in here with the snow, so it wasn't able to happen then. But what would have been especially appropriate about that, and what I want to say now, is that the way in which we remembered Dr. King and all of the things that all of us said at that point about staying with a fight even when it's hard, about fighting for an inclusive community, about racial justice, about economic justice, about equity, about creating space to have the tough conversations that we need to have as a society, but doing so from a place of love and with the idea that things could get better as a result of those conversations. All of that is the life and work of Dr. Bannister. That has been her work in Aurora for nearly 40 years. And even though she is officially retiring, we know that she will not be far away and that she will remain involved. I really think every community in this state and this country needs somebody like her, and I appreciate your allowing us a few minutes to honor her today.
Thank you, representatives. Representative Buckner.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is a really special day to honor this amazing lady. I met Dr. Barbara at church. When I moved here in the early 70s, I joined a church called Macedonia Baptist Church. And she was one of the ladies of that church, and I do mean a lady. She was always dressed to the nines. She knew more about the Baptist church and what was appropriate. And I remember back in the day, she used to give me amazing advice. And when I say she was dressed to the nines, she's a Southern lady because she's from Louisiana. And she usually had on the most amazing hats. And that's one of the things I remember about you when I first met you. Even to this day, she has an organization, a nonprofit, that provides hats to ladies at church who want to wear beautiful hats. So I think that is an amazing feat for her to continue the tradition of wearing beautiful hats in church. I also want to brag about her kids. She has a daughter, Gardia, who is vice president of Providence Hospital. I think I got that right. Providence Hospital in Washington, D.C. She has a son who is now retired, who was vice president of a technical Asian Pacific Shell International firm in Singapore, and he has now moved back to Colorado. So, not only is she an example of excellence, her children are examples of excellence as well. And her husband is a retired state employee. He was state director of EEO. So it's just a pleasure to have known Dr. Bannister all these years. And I think she deserves to be retired. And she loves to travel. She loves to travel, so I'm sure that will be in her retirement plans. But my husband was a fan of my late husband was a fan of Dr. Bannister as well. And in Aurora, everyone knows who she is. And if you ever need a helping hand, not only was she a helping hand for me and my husband back in the day, she's still a helping hand. So it is just my pleasure to be here today to honor you, Dr. Bannister.
Representative Melton.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I would be remiss if I didn't speak on, in support of this tribute. In Denver, Mayor Webb is often considered the godfather of politics and of civil rights. In Aurora, it is undoubtedly BSB is our godmother. She is just a pillar when it comes to standing up and speaking up for those whose voices are sometimes not heard and marginalized. When I first ran for office, I got to meet and got to know Dr. BSB. And I mean, literally, all I can say is she is a living legend. And to see that strength and to see that care for our community in an actual living individual is something that we must recognize and that we must appreciate while we have her here. And so I'm so excited that she's here today. We will miss her as she retires from the city of Aurora, but I know that even though she's retiring, she's not going anywhere. She's still gonna be pulling our coattails and making sure that we do the right thing. And so again, I just want to rise in support of this tribute and ask that you all help us welcome Dr. BSB, Dr. Barbara Shannon Bannister.
Thank you for joining us this morning. Thank you, members. We will now move on to third reading, final passage of bills. Majority Leader Garnett.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And members, this is a different motion, so you may want to pay a little bit closer attention. I refer House Bill 1028 back to seconds for consideration of a substantive amendment. And this is a motion so that we can go back into seconds on this bill and have full debate if need be on that substantive amendment.
The motion before us is to refer House Bill 1028 to second reading. This is a recorded vote. Mr. Randall, I guess I need you to read the title to House Bill 1028.
House Bill 1028 by Representatives Hooten and Ransom, all Senators Quorum and Finberg, concerning conditions for medical marijuana use with disabling medical conditions, in connection therewith adding autism spectrum disorders to the list of disabling medical conditions for medical marijuana use.
You've heard the motion. The question before us is referring House Bill 1028 to second reading. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Randall, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Representative Soper, Representative Baisley. Representative Soper and Baisley. Here they come. Representatives Soper and Baisley, that's a $2 fine each. Mr. Randall, please close the machine. With 61 aye votes, 3 no votes, and 1 vacant, the motion to refer House Bill 1028 to second reading is passed. That brings us to House Bill 1100. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1100.
House Bill 1100, Representative Geithner, House Senator Bridges, concerning prohibiting a school district board of education from including a use restriction on certain transactions involving the school district's property, as would restrict the property from being used as a school for any grade from preschool through the 12th grade.
Majority Leader Garnett. Or Representative Kennedy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the passage of House Bill 1100 on third reading and final passage.
The question before us is the passage of House Bill 1100 on third reading and final passage. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Randall, please open the machine and members please vote. Please close the machine. With 57 aye votes, 7 no votes, and 1 vacant, House Bill 1100 is passed. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1040. Assistant Majority Leader Kennedy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move to lay over House Bill 1046 until tomorrow.
Seeing no objection, House Bill 1046 will be laid over as requested by the Assistant Majority Leader. Mr. Randall, please read the title of Senate Bill 45.
Senate Bill 45 by Senator Moreno, also Representative Hooten, concerning clarifying the members of the Radiation Advisory Committee are reimbursed for expenses incurred for authorized business of the committee.
Assistant Majority Leader Kennedy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the passage of Senate Bill 45 on third reading and final passage.
The question before us is the passage of Senate Bill 45 on third reading and final passage. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Randall, please open the machine and members, please vote. Please close the machine. With 63 aye votes, 1 no vote, and 1 vacant, Senate Bill 45 is passed. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1033.
House Bill 1033 by Representatives Tipper and Kennedy, also Senators Fields and Priola, concerning a local government's authority to regulate products containing nicotine.
Assistant Majority Leader Kennedy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the passage of House Bill 1033 on third reading and final passage.
The question before us is the passage of House Bill 1033 on third reading and final passage. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Randall, please open the machine and members, please vote. Please close the machine. With 38 aye votes, 26 no votes, and 1 vacant, House Bill 1033 is passed. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1063.
House Bill 1063 by Representatives Kraft, Tharp, and Larson, all Senators Gardner and Lee, concerning the ability to share information between county adult protective services with county child protective services, as well as at-risk adults obtaining their own information.
Assistant Majority Leader Kennedy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the passage of House Bill 1063 on third reading and final passage.
The question is the passage of House Bill 1063 on third reading and final passage. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Randall, please open the machine and members, please vote. Please close the machine. With 62 aye votes, 2 no votes, and 1 vacant, House Bill 1063 is passed. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Majority Leader Garnett.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move the following bills be made special orders on today, Wednesday, February 6th at 9:32 a.m. House Bill 1028 and House Bill 1113.
The bills listed by the Majority Leader will be made special orders today at 9:32. Assistant Majority Leader Kennedy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move the House now resolve itself into the Committee of the Whole for the consideration of special orders.
You have heard the motion. If there's no objection, Representative Kennedy will take the chair.
The committee will come to order. The committee will come to order. With your unanimous consent, the bills will be read by title unless there's a request for reading a bill at length. Committee amendments will not be read unless requested, as they are printed and in your bill folders. Floor amendments will be shown on the screen and on your iPads and not read unless requested. Bills will be laid over upon the motion of the Majority Leader, and the coat rule is relaxed. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1028.
House Bill 1028 by Representatives Hooten and Ransom, all Senators Quorum and Fenberg, concerning the conditions for medical marijuana use for disabling medical condition in connection therewith adding autism spectrum disorders to the list of disabling medical conditions for medical marijuana use.
Representative Hooten and Ransom.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It is wonderful to see you up there today. Pleasure to serve with you.
And with you.
Members, I think all of you are pretty familiar now with our Bill 1028, which would add autism spectrum disorder as a qualifying condition for medical marijuana. We have spent the last 10 days working with all the stakeholders to come to a final amendment to the bill that satisfies everyone. It takes the hospitals, the pediatricians, the psychiatrists who had deep concerns about our bill. It takes them to a neutral place. It has the support of the community that we are trying to help. And while I have this opportunity, and I see he's not here, but I really have to take a moment to thank Representative Singer, because in 2017, he ran, oh, there he is.
Oh, there.
I was looking for you over here.
We're trying to get a shout.
So Representative Singer in 2017 ran a bill that gave the legislature the authority to add conditions, because as we know, the Board of Health, after 18 years, having that authority, never added one. And so he was the real trailblazer here, and I would be absolutely remiss if he is not appropriately acknowledged.
Representative Hooten, would you also move the bill, please? Or Representative Ransom?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move L005 and ask that it be displayed.
Representative Ransom, would you move the bill first, and then you may move your amendment?
We have to do it again?
It hasn't been moved yet today.
Thank you. I will move House Bill 1028 and Amendment L005.
Okay. The amendment is properly before us. Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This amendment clarifies two things that were at issue when we were working on the bill originally. One is it specifies, in the first part, it specifies which kind of doctors can approve and recommend this treatment. And in the second section, lines 6 through 10, it clarifies that the physician or provider needs to look at the medical records. I ask for an aye vote.
Is there further discussion on Amendment L5? Representative Singer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I appreciate the
tough work that everyone really put into this to begin with, and I speak in favor of the amendment L005 here. All of these issues, whether it is autism, whether it's post-traumatic stress, whether it's any other condition, Crohn's disease, any of the other medical issues, fundamentally, what it comes down to, whether we're adding conditions or changing how we diagnose them or changing how it's recommended, there are two questions that came up into my mind outside of all of the discussions, outside of all the politics, and that is this. Basically, do you trust doctors and do you trust parents? And 9 days out of 10, I'm going to trust both. And so with or without this amendment, I think this brings things into a place where we can actually work further on these issues and these conditions to make sure that doctors and parents and patients can have conversations with their kids, with their patients, with their doctors to ensure that we're actually doing the right thing for our families. I know that we have another bill coming down the pike, and I won't talk about it right now. It's in the Senate right now. And all I can say is this is the right way to start having these conversations, is by bringing parents and doctors together, because ultimately this is what is going to crack this nut that we've been working on for 20 years now. This is one condition. You're going to hear another one later on, but this process brings me to a point where I can say we can still have these conversations and actually come up with a better product. So I encourage an aye vote.
Representative Caraveo.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I rise in support of this amendment as well. As you all know, I had some reservations with this bill as originally written because I felt it was going to impose on the relationship between a primary care physician such as myself and patients. In addition to this being a very complicated diagnosis process that is going to label a child with a pre-existing condition for the rest of their life. There was just a report recently of a doctor in California who is now actually at risk of losing his medical license because after a very short visit, he decided that a child should be diagnosed with ADHD, really just based on his father's history, prescribed him pot cookies, and is going now through legal issues because that was not a proper diagnosis. So this amendment, which I am wholly in support of, and I thank Representative Hooten for working with, and Ransom, for working with the stakeholders in this process, will ensure that when children are diagnosed with something like severe autism spectrum disorder, that their primary care doctor is part of that process, part of the conversation, and that there is communication really between the doctor that will be recommending marijuana to this child and their primary care doctor. So once again, thank you very much to the sponsors for addressing these concerns, and I urge an aye vote.
Representative Melton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And, you know, members, I'm not in love with this amendment. I don't think that we need to necessarily make the parents jump through yet another hurdle or another hoop to be able to really address their kids' needs. However, I do feel that this was broad enough that even though I'm not in love with it, I'm not going to oppose it. I would recommend voting your conscience. But remember, at the end of the day, we're really trying to give parents additional options, and to put additional hoops or hurdles in their way, I don't think is what we should be doing. But vote your conscience on this.
Representative Buenteo.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I rise not only as a state representative, but as the mother to a child with on the autism spectrum. It is hard enough being a parent of a child who's on the autism spectrum. There is absolutely nothing that you will not do to help your child deal with his or her condition. I appreciate Representatives Hooten and Caraveo, as well as Ransom, for making sure that this bill appropriately balances the relationship between parents, doctors, and children who are on the autism spectrum. I urge a yes vote on this amendment and on this bill. Thank you very much.
Representative Baisley. Oh, okay, Representative Baisley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this was the one area in committee where we struggled. So the parents need that authority with their children, but Representative Caraveo made the strong argument that, hey, if they're simply talking with a marijuana dispensing doctor and not talking with the more comprehensive look at their child through their primary care physician, then is this going to be out of sync? And it was the one area that we struggled in, and Representative Caraveo's amendment to that bill was not passed back then, but it was a good amendment, and I am thrilled that there's been a compromise here, a real mature consideration. This is good. This is smart. Thank you, Representative Caraveo, for sticking to this. You were right in the first place, and you brought it up well. And thank you, Representative Ransom and Representative Hooten, for getting this all done. Please vote yes on this. It's a good amendment. Thank you.
Majority Leader Garnett.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I just wanted to come and highlight the work of the sponsors and really highlight for the members and for the body how the stakeholder process can work, and how bringing people together and putting everyone in a windowless room with tall ceilings and locking the door can actually really facilitate a discussion that can be productive and can help solve a problem. You know, this stakeholder process took a really long time. Not only did the first meeting take over 2 hours, but the meetings after that took hours and hours and hours. And so a real hats off to Representative Hooten and Representative Singer, to Representative Ransom and Representative Caraveo for all coming together and helping this body move forward in a responsible way. So thank you very much.
Representative Escar.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I rise in support of this amendment and the bill. On the Health Insurance Committee last year, when I got to sit on it, we had hours of testimony, and I was so touched by the testimony that we heard about mothers and fathers just trying to find ways to take care of their kids and wanting and needing another tool that works for some of them. And some of them were my constituents who came up here, traveled to Denver to share their very personal stories about the things they deal with every single day with their children. And I supported the bill last year, and I commend the sponsors and Representative Dr. Caraveo for pushing hard together to make sure that the legislation we pass is going to be able to help those kids who need it, and to make sure that people are being taken care of and that there's no doubt in our minds that this is the right thing to do. So thank you for your relentless work on this amendment and on this bill, and for bringing it back and not giving up, because I think our kids deserve this.
Representative Lontine.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I also want to commend the work that Representatives Ransom and Hooten did to arrive at this amendment. I know it was hard to do, but I think the bill is in a much better place. I supported the bill last year. I support the bill this year, but I really wanted to see a little more work done, especially with respect to involving the primary care doctors in the child's life to be able to have a part in this process. So, and also I would like to just recognize with Representative Monteo, I'm sorry. Yeah, okay. You know, I am also a grandparent of a child on the spectrum, and I certainly recognize how hard it is for parents who have a child in their life who needs help, and we just haven't been able to find it. And so this is just another tool to help kids who are struggling and are not responding to more traditional therapies. And I'm so glad we have this available here in Colorado. We are lucky to have that. So I support the amendment. Thank you.
Representative Soper.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I too rise in support of the amendment. I was also on Health and Insurance, and was quite reluctant. I supported the amendment, and I also support this amendment as well. Here, I believe that it helps make me feel more confident in my vote here, to know that at least there's the foundation to know that the child has autism, and you're not just going to a doctor whose whole purpose is to prescribe marijuana. I think that gets to the end result pretty quickly. So I think this is a perfect balancing, which is what we should really be concerned with here in Colorado. So I want to also compliment the work that's been done here. Thank you.
Is there further discussion on Amendment L5? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of Amendment L5. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say no. The ayes have it. Amendment L5 passes. To the bill, Representative Ransom.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I urge an aye vote on the bill.
Is there any further discussion on is there any further discussion on House Bill 1028? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1028 as amended. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? All right, the ayes have it. House Bill 1028 as amended passes. Mr. Randall, please read the title to House Bill 1113.
House Bill 1113 by Representatives Roberts and McLaughlin, concerning the protection of water quality from adverse impacts caused by mineral mining.
Representative Roberts.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move House Bill 1113 and the Rural Affairs and Agriculture Committee report.
To the committee report. Representative Roberts.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In the committee, we added two separate amendments. One, we added a change from the word reasonable and turned it into reasonably foreseeable. This is language that's used in the statute already, and that was used in the industry. That was something that the industry was supportive of. We also changed a few other technical languages around reclamation. I'd ask for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion of the committee report? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of the Rural Affairs and Agriculture Committee report. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee report is adopted. To the bill, Representative McLaughlin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, this bill is good for both the mining industry and clean water. We believe that up till now, people can self-bond. They can put the money down and promise that they will pay it to clean up the water after their mining operations are finished. And in many, many cases, they go bankrupt before they could actually clean up the mine, and you, the taxpayers, are left with the bill of cleaning it up. So this just makes it that those who have created the water, poor water quality are also going to be responsible for cleaning it up. We think it's very responsible legislation.
Representative Roberts.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members, I just add, in this time where our water sources and our water quality are of utmost importance, it's bills like this that we need to take seriously and that we need to pass so that every single drop of water can be protected. We face some severe consequences if we do not do this. We already have faced severe consequences where the taxpayers are responsible for the spills of private mining companies. This bill would protect against that ever happening again in the future. I will also note that the amendments we put on committee moved to the Colorado Mining Association from a position of opposed to no position. The Mining Association is not opposed to this bill. I'd ask for an aye vote.
Representative Catlin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's an honor to serve with you.
Also with you.
Thank you. We heard this bill in Rural Affairs, and I voted no against it because I thought that I was helping protect the mining industry. But I haven't heard from the mining industry. I did hear the testimony that they gave us in regards of having no position. So I'm going to say that I think people should vote their conscience on this. I think the other thing that happened with this bill is the amendment that was put in on this bill said where mining had talked to me where the problem was date specific, the water will be clean by date specific. This new amendment allows it to be done in a reasonable amount of time. And I believe that the miners think that they can work within that because the Mine Reclamation Act also is agreeable to that. So this is a better bill than it was when it came last year, and it's also a better bill than it was before that amendment. I'm all in favor of new mines. I want you to know that. We need new mining. Because I'm a believer that mining done in America, under American standards, under the EPA, under the mining standards that we have to mine our minerals, is a much better product than for you and I to buy all of the minerals that are mined out of that little computer in China with no environmental protection. I appreciate what's being said here, but I want us to understand that mining in America is a lot safer for everybody than it is around the world. We know how. We do it right. And we are the ones that should be mining for ourselves, rather than depending on children in an open pit mine in China and pumping and belching that pollution into our seas, into our airs, and into our kids' lives. Please stand with me when we support American mining and Colorado mining. Now is the time for us to encourage this country to develop the natural resources that we've been blessed with and stop allowing the world to sell us products that we would never agree to purchase. If we were mining those ourselves, we wouldn't put those children in those terrible, terrible situations. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Representative Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good morning. I wanted to explain my no vote in the committee and explain a little bit where I'm coming from. I'm not a miner, so there's a lot about mining that I don't know. I am an independent business owner, and as I was voting on this bill, I was contacted by one mine owner who was very thankful that I was willing to have opposition to the bill. They were concerned about their mine and that what this bill would do to their mine, the impact. So that one little small independent business owner that owns that mine, I'm going to stand with them, and I'm going to vote no. And I'm going to remind you all in the House of Representatives here in Colorado how much we need those small little independent business owners. And sometimes when you read a bill, and this is my third year here, I can tell you, and this probably comes from having an attorney as a daughter, sometimes it's not what's in the bill, and sometimes it's all who lines up to support a bill that concerns you a little bit. Ladies and gentlemen, I urge a no vote on this bill because I'm going to stand with that one little miner and independent business, private enterprise. Thank you.
Representative Roberts.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate the comments of my colleagues from Montrose County and from Southeast Colorado. This bill doesn't stop mining. What this bill actually does is codify what's already happening in our states. No permits are issued with the self-bond on them in Colorado by a matter of practice by the department. All this does is codify what's happening already. So it doesn't slow down mining. There's been no evidence that those practices by the department have slowed down mining in Colorado. I will also say to Representative Lewis's point, this bill does not apply to any existing mines. This is only future applications. And finally, I agree with my friend from Montrose County. We need American mining. We need mining in Colorado. This bill does not stop mining in Colorado. Again, the Mining Association is not opposed to this bill. I'd ask for an aye vote.
Representative McLaughlin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I would just add that if you are saying you're fiscally conservative in Colorado, we are going to be putting $2.2 million every year now into cleaning up mines, just one mine, Summitville Mine, that somebody did not clean up after themselves. And if you think that you have something that you might put $2.2 million for and you can't do it now, it's because somebody didn't pick up after themselves at the mines. So I think it's a very fiscally conservative that the people who make the mess clean up their mess. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1113? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1113 as amended. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, no? No. The ayes have it. House Bill 1113 as amended passes. Mr. Majority Leader Garnett.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thanks for stepping up today. I move the committee rise and report.
Seeing no objection, the committee will rise and report.
The House will come back to order. Mr. Randall, please read the report of the Committee of the Whole.
Madam Speaker, your committee of the whole makes lead reports and shows the following attached bills. Being the second reading of thereof, makes the following recommendations thereon. House Bill 1020 is amended. House Bill 1113 is amended and passed on second reading. Gross place to counter for third reading. Final passage.
Assistant Majority Leader Kennedy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move the House now adopt the report of the Committee of the Whole.
You have heard the motion, and there are no amendments. The question before the House is the adoption of the report of the Committee of the Whole. Mr. Randall, please open the machine, and members, please vote. Representative Ransom. What are you saying? Sure. Representative Ransom is excused, but it's a $2 fine. Please close the machine. With 57 aye votes, 6 no votes, 1 excused, and 1 vacant, the report of the Committee of the Whole is passed. Announcements and introductions. Representative Williams and Van Winkle, or not.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I just wanted to let everyone know that I respect the rules in this chamber, and I understand why Representative Ransom was fined, but I will go ahead and cover that $2 fine for her. So.
Wow. Representative Van Winkle.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I asked to be excused Friday at 10 a.m. for a family funeral. I have gotten approved with Majority Leader and informed the terrific Minority Leader.
The Assistant Minority Leader's request is granted. Representative Jackson.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I, too, have spoken to both the Majority Leader and the Minority Leader, and I request permission to be excused starting at noon this Friday as well, the 8th.
Permission to be excused is granted. Representative Roberts.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members of the Capital Development Committee, we are meeting tomorrow morning at 7:30 a.m. in Senate Room 357. See you there.
Representative Byrd.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Good morning, everyone. Today we are joined by the Economic Development Council of Colorado, here to share ideas to grow and improve Colorado's communities. Please stop by and say hello, and we have our guests on the floor who are joining us today. Later today, join us this afternoon for the EDCC Legislative Luncheon from noon to 1:30 p.m. in the basement of the First Baptist Church. Come and enjoy lunch with these dedicated individuals who are working to strengthen Colorado's economy and enhance economic opportunities for all of our Coloradan constituents. Thanks.
Representative Landgraf.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Having spoken to the Minority Leader and I think the Majority Leader, yes, he did sign it, I request permission to be off on the 11th and 12th of February.
Representative Landgraf will be excused as requested. Representative Singer.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. House Public Healthcare and Human Services Committee. Good news, bad news. Which do you want first? All right, the good news, no meeting today. House Bill 1009 has been laid over until February 15th. The bad news is, oh wait, I'll keep going with the good news. Also, no meeting this Friday. The bad news, lots of bills up the following week, so pack a lunch. See you next week, folks.
Representative Melton.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. We've got some fourth graders from my district, from Jewell Elementary, that are in the building. They're unfortunately not here in the chamber yet, but in case their parents are watching at home, we want to welcome all the fourth graders from Jewell Elementary. Thanks.
Representative Arndt.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Colleagues, about a year ago, I had asked our ACE Water staff and the top-notch lawyers in water in Colorado that work here in our capital to put together a guidebook for legislators to help educate you about water. And I believe it was delivered yesterday, and it is written by David Boujon, Megan McKillop, and Matt Becker with Juanita Hill as a staff assistant. I just encourage you to look through this, so when water bills come up and you say, oh, it's complicated, I'm not sure, this is a really good crib note for you. Take it home, sleep with it, put it by your bed, and read it. Thank you.
Any other announcements and introductions? Majority Leader Garnett.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move that the House stand in recess until later today.
Seeing no objection, the House will be in recess till later today.